Frankie, the other day, yesterday when you were off, I was railing about Columbus again, and how maybe last week I was saying maybe they're going to rename the District of Columbia for something else, and it sure seems like people are taking different routes there. Some doing it right, like this mayor in West Orange, New Jersey. He's moving a monument. Other people are throwing ropes around them, ripping them down, spray painting them, and throwing them in the ocean. It's getting absolutely crazy.
Well, there's a gentleman with us now who knows a thing or two about this. He's been fighting this sort of thing for many years. DiMino, he's an executive board member with the Italian-American One Voice Coalition. Andre, what's happening in West Orange now? I feel like we go through this every year, every week, every month. What's happening now?
Well, you're absolutely right, Frank and John. Good to be with you. Unfortunately, in West Orange, we've really got the worst situation whereby an Italian-American mayor has agreed to remove the statue because it's so controversial. Of course, he's capitulating to the false narrative about Columbus. It's just a disgrace, and it's especially an insult to all Italian-Americans.
It's insulting to me to think that with all this going on, pandemic, inequality, riots, looting, New Jersey's still somewhat in a lockdown, some mayor, and by the way, Italian-American, you say, he's taking time and effort and money out of his municipal funds to move a statue because it's giving him a little bit of a headache. That sounds bizarre to me.
Oh, it's absolutely the wrong thing to do. Yes, of course, we've got the statues being attacked and toppled and painted and so forth. But to think that a governing body led by a mayor who's Italian-American would just kowtow to this ridiculousness is just frustrating.
So, Andre, to me, there are three issues here. One is, should we as a society be taking down historical statues to begin with? I would say probably we shouldn't. Two, it's, okay, should we take down Columbus's statue? And three is, all right, if we do decide we want to take down Columbus's statue, should this be done through the proper course of civic discussion and having a democratically elected government do it? Or should we have an angry mob simply behead it, as they've done in Philadelphia, Richmond, Virginia, and Boston? Let's talk about the Columbus issue specifically. We've been taught that Columbus was a slaver, that he was oppressive, that he was just an overall really bad guy. Bad not only to his own sailors, but the people that he came to America to bring back to Europe in chains. Set us straight. What's the real story? What's true? What's not so true about Columbus?
Well, it's absolutely not true. All these things, all these atrocities that they've attributed to Columbus, that has been disproven and debunked by a number of authors and scholars by going back to the original sources. But of course, the current narrative is that he invented slavery and did all kinds of atrocities, and it's just not true. As a matter of fact, we even have an indigenous person that has written 3 books debunking all these things about Columbus, and he's actually a descendant of the Taino tribe, which was a tribe that was helped by Columbus, that was being attacked by another tribe that were cannibals. So it's really just a false narrative. Now, the other side of that coin, though, Frank, you have to realize these Columbus statues were put up with the nickels and dimes of Italian-American immigrants, and they were put up as an atonement for the bad treatment, discrimination, and yes, even lynching of Italian-Americans. And going after Italian-Americans, which is a recognized group under the 14th Amendment, these really are hate crimes when you go after a symbol that's so important to Italian-Americans.
Yeah, and to me, I'm still lost on the whole Columbus thing, and I know what the sub narrative is, that he brought over slaves and all this other stuff. The other alternative I was thinking about was recruiting a person of indigenous Indian heritage, and then letting them deem my house a reservation, so that maybe U.S. authorities can't come here and, give me any complaints about trying to help people. But is there anything we could do? I know you guys, with the Italian-American One Voice Coalition, have a group of people that, try to collectively have one voice. But what can we do? How can we speak up and say, hey, Italians are people too?
Well, you're absolutely right. And, our founder, Manny Alfano, has always said, if you say nothing and you do nothing, we will become nothing. So we are right. I believe we're at an inflection point right now. We're at a tipping point with all these attacks on these Columbus statues is really an attack on our heritage. And the 19 million Italian Americans across this country should start to really let their voices be heard and say that this is not the right thing to do, object to it, and go to people like Mayor Parisi of West Orange, or even how about Governor Murphy of New Jersey, who yesterday said that he may be in favor of taking these things down. Call them, write to them, be upset about it, because we've got to be heard or we'll become nothing.
No doubt about it. Andre, thank you so much for joining us today. And, as two Italian-American young men, we'd sure, or at least Frank's a young man, we'd sure like to help any way we can. If you got to get the voice out there, any way we can amplify it, please let us know and we'll do our best.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me on, guys.
Thank you so much.
you.
Andre DiMino from the Italian-American One Voice Coalition.